Hello everyone, it is time to review the classic video game that started the crazy franchise that can even outsell the Zelda series. This is Super Mario Kart, and I am so excited to jump back into this game. I remember playing it as a child, loving it as a child, and let's see how it holds up to this day. And I'm just gonna come right out of the gate and say this game is fun. This game is stupid, all kinds of fun, and wow, has Mario Kart come a long way. So there are 8 characters you can choose from, 3 types of races, or cups rather, that you can go through, and it is a blast. It is crazy how Mario Kart has evolved, and yet at the same time stayed the same for the last almost 3 decades now. Super Mario Kart, though, really stands out and is really outdated in a lot of ways. The controls, for example, steering your kart is a lot more difficult than what I remember. When you play Mario Kart 8, for example, and you go back to playing Super Mario Kart, you're going to be a little bit thrown off just from how crazy the control scheme is. And what's also unique about this is you can't change your kart or anything like that now, but your characters rather have their own special abilities and strengths and weaknesses. For example, if you play as Bowser, you can unleash fireballs along the track, and you're a lot heavier, so you can kind of bully around other people, whereas if you play someone like Toad or Koopa Troopa doesn't have a lot of weight, but you can control his kart, and his steering is a lot easier. So the characters themselves have their own strengths and weaknesses, whereas in the latter games, it's all basically more or less involved around the size of your character and your own choices of what you want your kart to be. That isn't to say, though, that this game isn't fun. This game is still really enjoyable, even if the controls are a little bit stiff and tough getting used to or going back to. We've been really spoiled by the new generation of racing games out there, but I really do still think this game looks and feels, for the most part, great. I actually really like the level designs, although a lot of them are very similar because you can tell they didn't have a lot to work with at the time, so you're going to get a lot of the same feeling courses. All of the Bowser castles are going to look the same. All of your Boo's Haunted Mansion themed courses are going to look the same, but they do just enough to provide enough variety even in these courses to make them not all feel exactly the same thing and not become too repetitive. And outside of the Grand Prix, you do get things like the time trial mode, for example, so you can try to race and see how far you can come. But there is something that's very interesting that I didn't know that I discovered when playing this game again, and that is that this game is very fixed in who takes first, second, and third, and it's probably true even to a certain extent with the new games. But for example, if you select Peach, no matter what, you're almost always going to be squared up and going against Bowser for that first place spot. Whereas if you pick Donkey Kong Jr., you will probably be going up against someone like Yoshi or Koopa Troopa for the first place spot. So it's not as random as you think it is. The biggest complaint, though, that I have about this game is the way the game handles bumps and when you run into people. The game is very sticky. If you're behind someone, for example, some fat butt like DK Jr., and you run into his backside, it's really hard to get off his rear, which sounds really funny now that I say it, but it's all the same true. You don't bounce like you usually do. You just kind of stick there. It's like as if your characters are stuck with glue. And then I know I've said this before, but I would have liked a little bit more of the racetrack variety, a little bit more levels. I understand that it had its limitations. I mean, this is the SNES we're talking here. This is a 16-bit console. There's no such thing as 3D graphics or anything like that. But I still would have liked just a little bit more track variety for me personally, even from the old days. I'm certain they could have done it if they wanted to put forth the effort. But I understand, like I said, where they come from. That isn't to say, though, that this game isn't enjoyable. Even going back to this game that I played as a child growing up, I am still blown away by how fun and addicting the gameplay is. And I love winning. I love all the celebrations at the end. They're all so unique and original. Everybody does their own thing, and Princess Peach is a lush. Make no mistake, guys, that's alcohol she's tossing up right there. So I'm going to go ahead now and give this game a letter grade, and for those of you that don't know, I give letter grades, A being the best, F being the worst, and Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo. Even though I played this on the Nintendo Switch online service, it's still a really good game in my opinion. It's really fun. Yes, it has aged in some cases, not the best, but I don't care. I still think it's fun to just drive around and realize how terrible I am at this game. I am awful at Super Mario Kart, but it's a good game in the end. There are some things I think they could have handled better. Even back then, I think they could have handled it better. So I'm going to go ahead now and give Super Mario Kart for the SNES and the Nintendo Switch online service a very solid B+, and it's a game that I recommend you pick up even if you haven't tried it before, even if you only play Mario Kart 8, because I just think it's crazy and it's really fun to go back and see how far this series has come. Alright guys, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching this video. I am Bradley Overrated, Owl Like a Trout, and I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.